Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be rating the Final Fantasy main series in order of how much I enjoyed them. However, I'm not going to give them a rank S, A, B, C, D, E, F because I don't think I need that many ranks, and there's not a Final Fantasy game that I didn't enjoy. So here we go. Let's start with Final Fantasy 11. Final Fantasy 11 I played for about 9 years and I got very, very addicted to that game. It held a lot of memories for me. I don't play anymore because I am terrified of getting sucked back into the world of 11. Also, hi, if you ever met my character, I was Aquia from Ragnarok and I played as a bard main, so I'm gonna have to say it was amazing just because of all the memories I have of that game. The people I met made that game. They were honestly some of the nicest people you'll ever meet in your life. Moving on to Final Fantasy VII. Now, I find the main character quite bland, but there's a lot of waifus in this game, if you know what I mean. No, but seriously, Final Fantasy VII had so much going for it. It had like 3 or 4 discs, I can't quite remember. It had a lot of hidden things and so many mini games. Like, yeah, it's a really, really good game, but I just don't feel anything for the main character. Hopefully they'll change in the remake. So let's give it a fantastic score. Next we have Final Fantasy XIV. Final Fantasy XIV is an awful game, but when they remade it as a Realm Reborn, it became an amazing game. It is one of the best current online RPG games. Although I can't quite give it an amazing with my ultimate Final Fantasy 11, so I'm gonna have to give it a fantastic. But if it keeps going the way it is, then I'm gonna have to switch it up to an amazing. Memories. I really want to go play 11 now. Final Fantasy VI. So, Final Fantasy VI has a really good main character. It has an amazing storyline and it deals with so many issues. It's like a coming of age story, but for gamers. It was also one of the first Final Fantasies to have a female main character in there if you want to class Terra as the main character. It kind of splits evenly between a few characters, but yeah, I really enjoyed that game, so I'm going to put it up there with Final Fantasy 11. Now, trust me, not all of them are going to be amazing and fantastic, even though I'd love to do that. So let's go on to Final Fantasy 12. They remade this as the Zodiac Age, and I really enjoyed replaying it as the Zodiac Age. However, when I first played the game, I really wasn't fussed on it. The only saving graces in that game, when I played it the first time, was Fran and Balthier. So I'm gonna give them a someday because my original female feelings for that game still hasn't completely changed, but I do like that game, but not as much as Final Fantasy 11, 6, 7, or A Realm Reborn. Final Fantasy 8. The bane of my life when it comes to end bosses. I don't know why, but I struggled so much. I can even I can even say the end words. Seed, 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 swarming across generations like locusts. You disgust me. And everything was said in really weird letters, so I don't know what I want to rate this game. Like, the main character is quite dull, and I don't mean dull as in stupid, he's just a little bit boring, whatever, but he does sort of soften up towards the end, so that does increase the score for it a little bit. I'm gonna have to give it a good rating because there were some redeeming factors to that game. Final Fantasy 3, I played this on the PS and the DS, so Final Fantasy 3 was very hard to come by. I had a chip version, but don't tell anybody that. Okay, it's just between me and you. I'm gonna rate it off the DS version, and I didn't enjoy it as much as all the other Final Fantasies, so I'm gonna give it a someday. If it was the original version I played, then I would have to give it a good, but I'm going off the DS version that most people have played. So Final Fantasy, this was the game that started it all, and I played this on the PS1 under Final Fantasy Origins, which had Final Fantasy 1 and 2 in there. It has pretty much most of the things a Final Fantasy game has got, but it is missing some things that the newer Final Fantasy games have. So it still has like the crystals, but it didn't have, I don't think it had chocobos in there, or was it Muggles? I can't quite remember. But I really enjoyed it when I played it. It was really nice to go back and play the original games, so I'm gonna put it down as great. I don't care what people say. Final Fantasy V. So this had a lot of good parts to it, and my memories of this game is just really, really nice. Especially when you find out one of the main characters is a female when you thought it was a male, and that is just hysterical. Not because you think they're female but male. Mainly because they showcase it. Spoilers, a character walks in on them when they're getting changed, and there's a lot of slaps to that character. It is quite humorous. I think if they were to remake it, they would spoil that part though, because I don't know. But I'm gonna have to give it a fantastic. It's not up there with 6 or 11, but it is still a really, really good game. As for Final Fantasy IX, this is the original Cyan boy. Zidane or Zidane, depending on what you call him, is a monkey boy. And I just don't find him super relatable. The only character that I absolutely adore in there is Vivi. He is the best character, hands down. Closely followed by Beatrice. And I would give it a lot lower, but for that reason alone, I'm gonna have to give him a good rating and not a someday, just because Vivi pulled it out the bag. Final Fantasy 15. So if I was to include all the DLC and the books, I would have to give it a great. But as we're rating just the main games and not the DLC, I'm gonna have to give it a someday. Even though my husband is in there, my husbando, I'm gonna have to give it a someday, just because it's not a finished game. You can't release games that are not finished and just needs masses DLC to complete the game. I can't give it higher than that. I'm really sorry. Final Fantasy IV. Now, the after years wasn't that good. It was pretty much 4, but as children. But Final Fantasy IV, wow, that storyline, the characters, just everything about 4 was just fantastic. So I'm going to have to give it a fantastic rating. It's just one of those games, you know? Anything in a fantastic or amazing range, you guys need to play. It's really good. Final Fantasy 2, I hated when I first played it, because there's no way you can escape death. That is if you're going off the Final Fantasy, the PlayStation 1 game. I didn't play the remaster, which was on the DS, I want to say. But in Final Fantasy 2, I hated the fact that the party gets split up right at the very beginning and you die. That aggravated me so much I didn't play it for 2 months. But when you push through all that, it's still a good game. So I'm going to give it a good rating. It has some really nice characters in there, like Maria and Firion, and not Firion, I forget his name, but there are some good characters in there. Not amazing, but still good characters, and that's the only reason I'm not giving it a someday. Final Fantasy X. The ending is stupid. I cried, but it's stupid. I feel like I'm offending people now, but yeah. The actual storyline up until that part is really, really good. It is one of my favourite games, but it's not quite there. If I was to recommend it to other people, it just has a lot of nostalgia because I was going through a lot at that time. So I'm going to give it a great score. And the last but not least, one of Japan's favourite heroines, Lightning in Final Fantasy 13. I feel like it was the start of the end for Square Enix. It's very linear. It's not open world, and I enjoyed the game, but it wasn't amazing. I'm gonna have to put it down to a someday. I just hated the fact they had two extra games to fully explain the story. I feel like they should have put it all in one and not rushed the game. It would have been so much better. Those graphics and the character designs were delicious. But anyway, that's my rating. I strongly advise that you play Final Fantasy 11, 6, 7, 14, 5, and 4. Those are my top tier games. Also 10, but I wouldn't really recommend that to first time players. But 100% go play those games, go enjoy Final Fantasy, and I will catch you guys next time. Bye!